In today's episode of Unapologetically Woman, we are here with Dr. Christina, a femininity coach and the CEO and founder of Fems Aloud LLC. And today, Dr. Christina talks to us about going from shame around her period to embracing her period and how period empowerment is a part of femininity. Stay tuned for an empowering conversation. Welcome to Unapologetically Woman, the podcast where women come together to share their unfiltered experiences navigating womanhood. Join us as we dive into candid conversations about periods, perimenopause, postpartum bleeding, miscarriages, and more. This is a safe space where we embrace the raw, real, and often unspoken aspects of being a woman. Get ready to be empowered, inspired, and heard. This is Unapologetically Woman. All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Unapologetically Woman. I am here with Dr. Christina, and she is going to take us through her transformational journey from how she started viewing her period into embracing that dark feminine energy. And I like to call it the dark feminine energy, and you'll understand more why. So thank you, Dr. Christina. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm good, and I'm so excited to speak with you today.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm excited actually too. I know a little bit about, Dr. Christina's story, but for you all listening and for you all watching, Dr. Christina was saying that she had this masculine approach when it came to her period. And I kind of want her to start with that. So, basic things. At what age did your period start? And where were you? I think that's always important. It's like you remember exactly where you were as a woman when your period starts and what was going through your mind, what was going on in your environment at that time.
Yeah, so true. So when of course, I can't remember the situation, right? So I was like the young little girl, 13 years old, living back in Germany. And we're a little bit surprised that this is going to happen, right? So like not really, and not really embracing what it means to be a 13-year-old girl, right? Like how does she feel? What's, like not even confident in her own body. I mean, at that time, we don't even know, are we a woman yet? Are we not? Like what's going to happen, right? And I really, let's say from my family background, we never really spoke about that, to be honest. It was just something you knew, okay, something is going to happen. Your body transforms, like, you're getting this beautiful shape. Everything changes. The hair is growing, these kind of things. But I was really surprised. And first of all, I didn't even know how to speak about it or how to approach or like who to approach, like my family or my parents. I mean, it's just like, okay, now I have to get some sanitary products, but what to take, what to do. It was like, actually, it was really a taboo at that time. I mean, that was like, now I'm 38, right? It's a long time ago. And I felt like in society, it was like not really, they haven't dealt with that, to be honest. And I was like even scared to buy the sanitary products, right? Like even going to the supermarket and say like, oh my God, I need to buy that. Right? I'm so embarrassed, right? And I felt like, like growing up and with my family as well, they was like, my father's an engineer and my mother's like a teacher for chemistry. So she's like always, in the sciences area, like not really emotionally available to some extent. And I think it's a very emotional topic to talk about and to speak openly about what's happening with you, girl, right? So I really got stuck, as you said, like being very in this masculinity and, like even calculating the days, what's going to happen and to avoid different situations when you have it. And I started really to hate it, to be honest. It was not even love-hate relationship. It was a hate relationship because I was like always really literally counting the days and feeling, oh my God, during that time frame, everything will be bad. You cannot go to the exams when you have so much pain. You cannot even go on a date. It's not going to work. Or you cannot even, meet your friends or go on a vacation. So this is what I did like for the last years, actually. And then I got, on birth control because I felt like I have more control over the situation. So I can really count and rely on the days. You have that week off and then you take it for 3 weeks. And then you're good to go, right? So you can, even adjust your vacations or when you have something, it's really like taking control over my own body. So it's like so masculine, but like, being more productive, not passing, like, going to exams when they're, available and stuff like that. But like, yeah, I don't know. And also to get rid of period pain because I suffered very much from that. I mean, now I know why, but like at that time I didn't know. So, yeah. And I actually took the pill for 15 years in a row. I mean, always I had like this 1 week break every month, right? But like for 15 years. And I was like 18 when I started taking it. Yeah. And I just didn't even know at the time what my body is like, right? And how a real cycle feels like and how your mood changes. Like, how do you feel in this phase or in that phase? And you really don't know your body, to be honest. And I didn't even want to know, like, no, 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 it's something I don't want to have. Like every month, no, I don't want to have it. And it felt like, yeah, it's good. I can, have a little bit more control, being on birth control, and also at work, right? You feel like you be more productive. You have like less days off because of that. And yeah, I mean, it's the whole package. Like, don't like it, but hate it, but also still not able to speak about it, right? Or to admit at work, hey, I'm sorry, I have to go home. It's so painful. I cannot work now. I'm so sorry, right? But you always felt like, no, I have like male colleagues and they're like on point the whole time, like every single day. They just work their ass off and you just like, no, I'm sorry, I have to go home, right? So yeah, so this is like literally my way into it.
That is, wow, you've touched a lot of points when it came to your feelings about your period. One, the fact that it was taboo, it's like, even, your mom not really speaking about it, I find that was the same case with me too. It was like something that was like, hush, hush, when it's like, this is a part of our health as women. Like, it should never be hush, hush, because it leads to this confusion and a bad relationship, like with our own bodies, and, the way you were mentioning, like, this started at 13. And then at 18, you got on the pill. And then you were taking that for 15 years. And so it was like, you were trying to find a way to control the situation. And that was the option given to you, is basically like birth control. And it's interesting how that is like the first thing that's mentioned to us. It's like either prescription with ibuprofen, right? Or birth control.
Yeah. And it's easily done, right? Oh, you get old enough, just write it. And it's just like, oh, take it. No questions asked. I want to make you more productive for society. Just, write a prescription. Done, right?
Right. And then, you mentioned about basically like the shame, because you're comparing yourself to your male counterparts. And, I guess that's like part of our mission as women, is to stop comparing ourselves to men, because our productivity is way different than a man's. Our hormonal clock doesn't reset every 24 hours. Like, it just doesn't work. And so like the shame, the embarrassment, the denial, like all this came because of your period.
Right. And it's human. I mean, we are women, right? So why do we neglect our own bodies, our own beautiful, cycle and everything that comes with? Why do we try to control that and try to make it whatever, like, gone away, past, like, I don't get that. I really don't nowadays. Yeah.
And you're in that state now where you don't get it, right? But then like when we look back, we can actually see, like, when we look at like what society portrays of a woman, they see us as being weaker, because, we do need to take those days off. And it's like, no, this is actually my healing time as a woman. Like, this is the strongest point like that's happening right now. Like, you have no idea what is happening in my body, and I am still standing here, like, and yet we're looked at as weaker, for giving into that. But it's actually what makes us so strong, is to give into that. And that's really what, when we come back, Dr. Christina is actually going to talk to us about how, she went from this masculine, like, I hate you, Like, when are you leaving? Like, get your shit out of here right now. You embracing and how that actually changed her life. So we're going to come back into Dr. Christina's story right after this short break. Welcome to Unapologetically Woman, the podcast where we dive into all things related to women's health, empowerment, and success. I'm Ms Tonya, a dedicated life coach using menstrual cycle synergy to help women executives, women entrepreneurs, and corporations, helping them establish better policies to accommodate women. If you are enjoying today's episode and want to stay updated with our latest content, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Share this video with a woman who would benefit from our discussions. We're always looking to grow our community and empower more women. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below sharing the insights you gained from today's episode. And don't forget to like this video to show your support. If you are watching during the premiere, make sure you leave a comment during the premiere below in order to enter into our monthly giveaway where you'll receive live CBD resin gummy, CBD skincare products, a period tracker planner, and a spa certificate. Winners will be tagged and announced. New episodes premiere on YouTube on Wednesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. If you're ready to take the next step towards your own empowerment, book a free 15 life coaching session with me. Visit www.mstonya.com to schedule your session today. For corporations looking to support women's health, I offer consulting services to help implement better policies. Want to be a guest on our show and share your story? Visit our website or find the link in the description to express your interests. Thank you for being part of our community. Subscribe now, click the notification bell, leave a comment, like, share, and join us on this empowering journey. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on Unapologetically Woman. Comparing ourselves, being afraid to take the day off, and it's like, dude, but this is us as women, we should be able to say, like, you know what we should have? I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, yo, employers should offer period days.
I know. And they do that. Like in Spain, I think.
Wait, really?
I think so. It's passed the law already. I think they can just provide some days off.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah. I think in some places they do it already.
That's cool. And wait, is it like they do it like, and they take away your PTO, or is it like an addition to that?
I don't know, but
okay. Maybe. I'm like, dude, I still want my PTO, but I do want that time, like when my period is just like, and I don't want to pop medicine, I don't want to keep filling myself up with these things.
Yeah, I hate that. That's also a part, right? You have to you feel like, oh my God, like my other, like at the time when I still had my corporate job, like my colleagues, like when they open up, like, their desk, it was full of like painkillers, right? Like, hey, do you have like a tampon, but maybe you have like an ibuprofen as well? Like, but then you just like, you speak without, somewhere in the toilet. Like, do you have a tampon? I'm sorry, like, why do you feel sorry for that, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm on my period. Did someone have something? Like, and that's still something I experience nowadays, to be honest. They just don't speak about it. It's like something. And also what I just remembered, like, I mean, my father told me that once, but like other men as well, like when they say like, oh my God, she's so emotional. Is she on her period? You know what I mean? That's so bad. Like this is like, now I feel even more ashamed to be a woman, right? Whether it's like emotional from something that has happened in my life, or if it's my period or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just like a feeling, right? And then you're feeling more, no, Jonathan. It's so bad. It's so bad. I don't know.
No, I totally agree with you. It's the way that they even perceive us, like, even the way they portray us, like in the media when we're on our period. And even the fact that, men kind of make light about our feelings because they really are just like, oh, well, you must be on your period. It's like, my feelings really matter, especially around my period, because I'm having these chemical changes that are happening.
It's normal. I mean, throughout the whole month, I mean, we can produce babies, right? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. So it's that same thing there, that it's like, society, the way that they're portraying us. And then when we finally get into that stage, we kind of already have it there, kind of embedded a little bit in our subconscious.
Some of that.
Wow. And then we end up doing those same type of feelings that are being portrayed on us. We end up having it towards ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I'm just like, wow, we really, like, as women have to just, like, own that part of it. And that's the challenging part, is like owning that part, especially when you do have that pain and you don't understand, because doctors don't really understand and they're not really trying to understand. We get brushed off when we talk about cramps. And it's like, okay, now you find out women are having cysts, and that's why their uterus is tilted. Like, that's why they're complaining, and it's so just like our health is just like, it's second rate. And I'm going to say this real quick before we get back into your interview. So I learned on this show it's not a show, it's a movie actually. It's called Periodical. I was working as a production assistant last minute, and it's a documentary about women and their periods around the world. And I was, yes, oh my gosh, I was so honored to be there. And it actually got picked up by MSNBC Films. Mm-hmm. So it's a distributed film now. And I was so honored because there were certain things that didn't make it to the final cut that I was able to hear. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So there was the scientist, female scientist, who was on there, and she was making a point about how doctors will tell you to bring in your dog's poop sample, right? Mm-hmm. But yet women doctors, gynecologists, don't tell you to bring in your menstrual cycle sample. Mm-hmm. And she was like, through that, you can actually see the health of your uterus. If you had a sample of the blood, you can see the cells that are in that. Exactly, right? And it's like, dude, what? Dogs are getting treated better than us women. And then a problem. Like, and I'm just spreading that information all over, like, to everyone everywhere. And, I'm like, dude, we should start demanding this from our doctors. It's like, look, before you do anything invasive, I'm going to need you to check my period blood. If you can check my other blood, you can check my period blood. But yeah, it was very inspiring. And she was even saying how, there are certain cells that can be used to treat cancer. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're producing healing every single month, and it goes to waste because we have, like you said, this taboo about it. We think it's nasty, filthy, even if you're not like a religious person, right? When you look at like Genesis or whatever, it says, oh, a woman is unclean, like around this time of her month. And it's like, dude, what? But like, we're producing healing out here. What's going on? And all these things to try to explain a woman, and then it's like, you know what? I think we need to become our own narrative, and I hope, like, yeah. Wow. Like what I'm that way. Yeah, that really stuck with me, and it still sticks with me, like, it still sticks with me that I'm just like, dude, my next gynecologist, I'm going to ask, like, hey, before we start you going up there, which is very uncomfortable, number one, like, let's see the cells that are actually coming out of here. I'm going to drop this off, and then we're going to have a consultation. Like, I'm going to tell you how this is going to go. Like,
oh my God, thanks for sharing. I just learned so much. I love it.
Yeah. And, that's really like the point, is that we can get on here and we can share with each other. And, for the audience, this part is going to be on here too. We're going to include this like behind the scenes stuff.
Like everything.
Yeah, exactly. And actually that, let's dive right into it, because I feel like a lot of us do start off in that very masculine state where we're trying to basically deny that it's happening. We don't want people to even know it's happening and going on with us. Yeah. And that shame and embarrassment. And those are feelings that are really not easy to come out of. And, you started at 13, and then you get all the way up into 33. because you're taking the birth control then. So something happened then, where you started switching on that. So what was that moment for you? Like that triggered, like, dude, I'm going to embrace this period. We're in for the ride. Here's my bucket of ice cream. Let's go. Like, when?
Yeah, so I don't know. So let me pick up a bit earlier to that story because I was like so masculine, right? So what comes with me and the masculinity too, I invested so much time in my education. That's why I, even did a PhD next to my full-time job. And I was like on this career path and putting all my energy, my effort into that, working hard, that's where how you achieve things. Without actions, there's no success, right? So I worked so hard until I was like so tired of doing it. And I was like also in a relationship for like the last 7 years though. And also in that relationship, I felt like something is off and I don't know. And I was like reading, like all, whatever can happen when you take the pill for so many years, from cancer to whatever. And we also know from research, right, that even you become more masculine in your brain. So your logical thinking and everything changes. And I was like so into numbers. So I was a market researcher and UX and UI designer for Mercedes. So I designed the apps and I crunched numbers and I did like so much. And I was like, why is that? This is like so masculine, right? And I also had like then a relationship with a very feminine guy. So I did literally everything. So I was the man in the household, doing the housework, doing my full-time job, my PhD, and planning the travels, looking at the financials, literally everything. And he was very passive. And at some point I thought also had like a bit of a health thing. So I had a lot of migraines coming up and also felt like, okay, something is off. I don't know what it is. So let's get rid of that shit, right? So I was like, no, just from 1 month to the next, I just stopped taking it. And I was like, okay, even in the relationship, okay, let's switch to some other kind of protection, but I want to get rid of that. And we also know from science that it can take up to 5 years until this thing is fully out of your body, right? So I started not taking it anymore, right? And from then on, my whole life shifted. So I was no longer attracted to that guy, for example. I was, I was like, my hormonal status changed. I get back to who I was when I was 18, right? Like who Christina was, like, her natural cycle, her hormones, how she is. And I even start thinking differently. Can you believe that? I was like, I started hating numbers. And I was like, oh my God, I'm also, this job, I cannot do it anymore. I'm so over it. I don't know. And then, of course, we had like COVID coming up and I couldn't go to my office for 2 years. And I was like, okay, something has to change. And then I also had like, unfortunately, experienced a burnout because I did so much. And I was like, so hustling so hard and burning my precious energy, like, and I didn't allow myself to rest and relax. And like the whole thing was messed up, let's face it. And I was like, okay, let's go back to the roof. Let's get rid of all this, whatever you take. Let's be more natural, more down to earth, and let's experience yourself from a new perspective, right? So I quit my job. I left this boyfriend at the time. I sold my belongings and then I moved to Bali to have my eat, pray, love moment, right? And to really, like, yes,
Girl, I am just so happy for you, and I don't even know the rest of the story. Yes.
So. Yeah, so I was like, it was a brand new start I felt like in a brand new body. And then I experienced myself for the very first time, like a cycle, right? Like, what does it mean? How do you feel in which phase of your cycle? And, how you react to people and how you also attract different men, of course. And, because of the burnout, I definitely had to change something. And I was like, working with life coaches as well. And then they, helped me. And then it clicked the moment I learned about this femininity, masculinity, and about this concept of the energies and like what is going on. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been so masculine. And then I also realized, it was not only me and my thoughts or mindset, it was also my visuals. So I was like very masculine in the way I spoke, you know, like you definitely cut off like some kind of vocabulary from, you know, like just because it doesn't fit into the workplace. So you don't talk about emotions, periods, of course. You just, you know, it's just not part of your identity anymore because you want to adapt and want to become successful with the career. But like, you know, at that point, I was like, okay, let's grow your hair again because I had like short hair. I had like, you know, cut it. And let's, you know, even dress very differently. It's like more feminine and loving and embracing that, you know? It's like it's a massive change, I have to say.
Wow, that is great. I am so happy for you because, you know, that's really what it's about is really, you know, once you decide like, this is nothing for me to feel ashamed about. And then once you decide this is nothing for me to feel ashamed about, you can start embracing it. And then you start learning all these different things about yourself that help you grow. And like you said, you know, because you're, you know, you learn about the energies, right? So now you're vibrating at a different frequency. So now you're attracting different types of men into your life, you know? So now you're attracting these different opportunities because now you set boundaries. Now you said, okay, no, I'm not going to accept this anymore. And I'm going to honor myself. And that's actually one of the hardest things I've noticed in my clients. Like, not to like stereotype all women business owners, not to do that. But one of the big things is allowing yourself that time to rest.
Yeah.
You know, and knowing that it's okay to do that. Like, it's okay to sleep if you want to sleep.
And it's also, you know, like also the way you learn to let go. For me, it was always having this control, as I said, with like over my period, over my body, over my career, over my life, over relationships, and like tuning into your body and embracing your cycle and, you know, just letting go what will be, what will come. And, you know, if it wants to stay, can stay. And really just feeling more grounded within me and myself and, you know, being in alignment. Really, I think the cycle is like the most fundamental, and even your womb space. It's like, I mean, that's where we came from. You know, that's the fundamental thing. And even, you know, for so long, I didn't even know that your voice, like your chakras, right, directly connected to your womb space. So when you make it sound, you can feel it vibrating down there, right? So that's a thing that's it's actually like voicing your needs and speaking up is so, I mean, it's you, right? And that's what I practice every single day since I noticed that. I just speak my mind unapologetically, of course. So this is the thing, right? Just voice it and just say it, whatever it is.
That translates into other areas of your life. And so you were able to recognize that. And then because you were able to recognize that, you were able to transform your entire flipping life. She was like, I went to Bali, y'all. Like, oh my God. Like,
the thing, right? So we're holistic beings. If you start working on one area, like more can change, more can, you know, and I felt like, oh my God, I was like kind of a product, like society wanted me to be like this Christina, like, you know, grown up in this family and like, you know, trying to fulfill expectations as the good girl and just, you know, these moments too, right? And then I was like, no, this is the new Christina. This is like who I am and I always wanted to be, right? And I've never felt so grounded. I never felt so feminine too. And like just being myself, right? Unapologetically, of course. So this is like the thing, you know, just being. I mean, that's the thing.
That is, it's being. It's exactly what you said is being. And that is really how we step into that power. Like, and because we are all the, you know, I know a lot of people like to point out people's similarities, but I'm like, you know, it's easy to get along with people when you only look at their similarities. You know, it's like you have to accept people's differences, you know, and I think that's really what we should portray. Like, accept my difference, you know, like accept this, you know, like I am a woman and you know what? I don't experience cramps, but she's a woman and she does experience cramps. accept the differences. Don't try to say that it's like everywhere, like, so it's even about that about ourselves, accepting that authenticity about ourselves unapologetically. And I thank you so much because your story is truly like a living testament, like of that example of like once you get in tune with that part of yourself, all other areas of your life start to transform. And I would love, for you to let the audience know more about you, how they can get in contact with you and what you're doing.
Yeah. So for me, it was like, as I said, it was like a holistic change. I started with like just, leaving my old past life behind and then just seeing what can come up in Bali. And then I actually found myself. It was like me really reflecting, what do I want? And I think it was needed to really step away from everything else, like from the job, from this relationship, from my home, my apartment, like literally everything. I mean, it's not for everyone, right? But like for me, it was needed to build a new life on a healthy foundation. And I also realized when we come back to the period topic as well, that even though I had like, of course I took like painkillers, right? Like for like so many every single month. And the moment I really tapped more into my body and felt like more in alignment, guess what? The cramps stopped. It got nearly pain free and I'm not taking anything anymore. And the blood looks so healthy, so red. And it's like, what the fuck, right? Like I haven't done anything, just healing myself and feeling more grounded and embodied. And this was actually, oh my God. And even with the burnout, right? I know now why it came from and why it was needed because I was so misaligned. I was just, it was a different version of Christina and it had me to bring back to myself. And as I said, like so many areas like shifted, like my visual appearance, my health, my happiness, my femininity, even the whole sexuality thing, right? It changed so much. Like how I attracted men. What kind of men do I attract now? Of course, more masculine men. Exactly what we want, right? And so many women, like even former colleagues in the corporate world, in the management positions, they still struggle, right? Because they probably haven't reached that point yet or feel like they have like, certain expectations they have to fulfill and they can just not quit the jobs. I can understand. But this is what I'm actually doing now since I quit my job. So I learned so much through my own healing journey that I wanted to help other women with this situation as well. So I'm actually coaching now executives and female entrepreneurs to be more feminine. I know they want to work hard. It's not a trade-off. They can also be very successful. I work hard too, but like in a healthy and more like a smarter way because I make use of the superpowers we have, whether it's like cycle syncing or it's like just embodying and embracing the femininity even more and having more time for yourself and embracing self-care and really feeling more aligned and embodied. And this is what I help them with. So I help them with like, creating new routines and also learning, of course, the fundamentals of being a feminine woman and a successful feminine woman, right? And voicing their needs and embodiment. And I love doing everything. It's not just journaling, right? So it's not just speaking about things, it's the embodiment. So we do a lot of things to tune into your body, connect with yourself, and feel your senses. And I do like whatever it is, blindfolding, sensual eating, touch, screaming. Like, sometimes I don't even hear that voice. And we want to get that out, right? And like really embody the feminine. So this is what I'm actually doing now.
That is amazing. I read something recently about dark feminine energy, and I was looking at the qualities of dark feminine energy, and I was like, oh, this is nothing like what I thought. Like it had their passion, it had their authenticity, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's very interesting because it's like it's considered the dark part of the feminine energy, and it's the very thing that society tries to suppress. Is you being an authentic woman, unapologetically, like it tries to suppress that. But the aspect of the divine feminine energy composes the dark and the light.
Yeah.
it has them both. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like being in such denial. And I honor you, for stepping into that power, but then also helping women to get in tune with that power as well. And, Dr. Christina, before, we head off, what is the best way for women executives to get in contact with you to start this healing transformational journey?
Yeah, of course. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, and I'm sharing a couple of things that I'm doing there. So they can always reach out and we can talk, because every woman is different, right? So they experience, a lot of women have like dating issues, and the frustrating I experienced for so long that they date very like feminine and very passive guys, because they feel like, oh my God, let's have a checklist and be like more in the masculine, because they, of course at work they're very masculine, right? It's needed because you have both. At work you're very, some kind of, you have to have your structure. That's the masculine part and the thinking and the thoughts. But you have your beautiful body where you can find the feminine and your rest and your being, and help them to tap into that while dating, or they experience exactly what I talked about, like the period pain, or some even don't get even pregnant because they're so masculine. I mean, it's another topic, but it's very, like you see, it covers a lot of areas. And burnout, of course, that's the third part. And if they want to work on it, I'm here and ready to take them to the next level, right?
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Dr. Christina, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. And we are going to go into our last part of Unapologetically Woman. Stay tuned. Thanks for joining us today. Learn more about our guests in the description below. Download your free period tracker to stay in tune with your energy levels, mood, cravings, and your flow. Interested in being a guest on our show? Complete the form in the description. Leave a comment below to share your thoughts on today's episode and be entered into our surprise monthly giveaway. For women looking for a natural way to relieve menstrual cramps, try live resin gummies to ease menstrual cramps. The link is available in the description. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more empowering content. This is Unapologetically Woman.